Hello, everybody. I'm Mary Lee Aitenhan coming to you live from the Dividend Studios in Brentwood, Tennessee for my podcast, Crucible. You can find me on AitenhanHealthCoaching.com. And if you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share. We all face challenges, crucibles in life that make us or break us. What matters is how we respond to such roadblocks. That's really what defines us. Through inspirational stories from all walks of life, this podcast will provide you with techniques to overcome and grow from life's most challenging experiences. Today, I want to share with you 3 key stages that are crucial to taking back your health. What does that actually mean? So we're going to talk about specifics. And the 3 takeaways I'm going to give you today are 1, to admit that you have a problem and identify what that problem is. 2, make a plan and have the courage to take action. And 3, how to maintain your new lifestyle change. So joining us to share today as my guest on Crucible and to share his truly inspirational story of triumph and his crucibles is my very good friend, Vernon Davis. And Vernon Dub Davis is a believer.
Yes.
Yes. A husband, a father, a brother, a son. He's recently started an insurance brokerage business and is a certified health coach, and he's lost 100 pounds. So he's just an amazing dude. So welcome, Vernon.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on Crucible. I can't believe it. Like, I remember, the inception of it when you were talking about actually putting it together, and to actually be on this platform with you
Yeah,
is amazing.
thank you. And that wasn't very many months ago. I think I talked to you about it in Cancun, or maybe it was before that, but yeah. And my producer, Matt Tompkins, Two Brothers Creative, he's done a fabulous job to help me out. So,
Yes.
well, let's start with my first point, which is to, admit that you have a problem and identify that problem. So what was it that triggered you to kind of get to that point?
For anybody listening, I am a father of 3, and me and my wife, Nikki, we kind of started later in life with having our kids than our friends. Not really later in life than typical parents, but our first child we had when we was 29, and the second child we had when we were 31, and then we had one at 39. So
Sasha.
So it's Sasha, yes.
Yeah.
So two boys, still being the oldest, he's 17 now. Roman is 15, and then Sasha is 8. So my journey with my health, kind of started with Sasha at the time being 4 years old. And what I remember is she, of course, being a typical 4-year-old, she wanted to be active, wanted to be outside, wanted to be doing activities. And I didn't have the energy or the just any kind of get up and go to
Sure. Yeah.
get her outside. So that is where my journey began. So at that point was 2017. I started searching out ways to try to get my health in order. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, what that looks like, of course, can be really scary, because you are going to make some changes, and those changes are going to upset your comfortable situations and just the normal that you've been used to. But at that point, it's necessary. I know. That, yeah. So you got this 4-year-old who, of course, didn't ask to come into the world, but that was the choice that you and your wife me and Nikki made. So she's here, and you you do what you do what you need to do. So yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you, I know it takes a tremendous amount of courage and just humility. At least I've found with the clients that I've coached, and also with myself when I went through this same thing. It was just, I was desperate when I reached out to my health coach, Tanner Scott. And it's, you know, it was very humbling because I was in a world of hurt. And so that's just, I appreciate what you've shared, and just identifying your problems and what they were. So you made a plan and you took action, which is
Yeah.
my second
Yeah.
point. So yeah, share what all you did.
So just like you just said, Mary Lee, like it is a very humbling experience because you have to let go of your pride,
Yeah,
and you
ego.
have to, yeah, ego and typical, it's hard for men to do, hard for humans to do in general, but you know, from a male perspective, that's pretty hard. So I found somebody who was not a licensed nutritionist, but he knew the he knew about macros. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the first thing that he showed me about, and I didn't know what a macro was. I didn't know
Sure.
how all of that worked, but I was willing to allow him to give me a meal plan, and that's where it started. So everything starts January 2018, and it takes off like a roller coaster. It literally, you know, um, he gave me the meal plan. I started up in January of 2018. By April of 2018, I had shed around 60 pounds.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and so many, of course, scale victories, but non-scale victories were included in that. And one of them being a CPAP machine that I had to seek out and had to
Mm-hmm.
kind of put some pressure on the sleep doctor to give me, ended up being one of the things that I was able to shed, and
That's
only
great.
having it for 2 months.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah. And we take for granted all of these things, of course, that come along with bad health. But that was, that was something that I was willing to accept for a short second before I said, I'm not going, if I can do something about this on my own will, my own accord, I'm not going to sound like Darth Vader sleeping in a room and
Yeah,
put
for
this
sure.
mask on my
Mm,
face, right?
yeah.
So these are little things that were milestones and markers in my head that I was not willing to accept. So the journey continues. The first thing I did, Mary Lee, um, as I am breaking into that freedom, first thing I did, me and a group of people put together a hike. And I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is 45 minutes away from the Great Smoky Mountains. 11 million visitors a year
Yeah.
to that park. It is one of the
Beautiful
only.
part. Yeah.
Yes,
It's a
it
beautiful
is.
area. Yeah.
I never experienced it on a level other than a tourist for my whole life being here. 45 minutes away, always been in my backyard, always seen people going into the woods hiking, always seen people connecting to nature, and never knew what that meant. And um, one of the things that I was accepting, and one of the things that was just allowing me to exist, was being a functioning alcoholic. So as I started
Yeah.
to go into that freedom, that was something that had to be had to be gone.
Yeah.
And so while you're doing it and you're in the middle of it, you don't even realize it because it was just a normal cycle that I seen, a normal pattern with my dad that I
Yeah.
seen. So as you're breaking into that freedom and you start to see chains start to drop off of you, and you
Yeah.
start to see you want to fully experience what freedom feels like, and that requires that discipline, and it requires you let go of things, let go of habits, let go of traditional cycles.
Yeah.
And I remember us taking off on this hike in the mountains about 5 months after I started that journey. I'm about 70 pounds down. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting around 230, 225.
Mm-hmm.
And the hike, 11 miles round trip, first hike, but it was epic. It was
Mm-hmm.
everything of connecting with freedom that you wanted to be. And even though I was with a group of people, it felt like I was out there completely alone, just me and God. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course we bonded out there, and but that's how journeys are, right? Like
Yeah.
you utilize other people's motivation, their inspiration, their courage, their things about them that reveal to you that you're not all alone,
Yeah.
and you trek and you keep going and you keep going. And it felt just like the journey that I had started, in my health. And it was an amazing experience to be in my backyard, as I call it, at the Great Smoky Mountains, and achieve Mount LeConte and do that hike. And it was the beginning of what would turn into my lifestyle, my journey, my
Mm. That's beautiful.
freedom.
That's beautiful. I always think of the scripture, I lift up my eyes to the hills from whence cometh my help, but those hills can be mountains, right?
Mm,
And I too agree. I grew up in Western Nebraska, but we were so close to Colorado, and we go skiing all the time. And my favorite view in Colorado is in Mary Jane on that ski slope, and being like 13,000 feet up, and you can see every mountain range from up there. And then of course getting to ski down. But there is something about that, just being on the top of the world and feeling like you can just reach up and touch God,
yeah,
in that
yeah,
spiritual connection. So,
yeah,
or oneness. So,
yeah. That's exactly it, Mary Lee. Like never knew what that experience felt like, and to be right here, and that led into um, when you are free and you don't have the confusion, the you don't have those circumstances that um, they chain you down, and
yeah,
you're not thinking about it because it's the pattern that you've always known. And um, it just off of what you just said, standing at the top of the mountain, you're able to connect to so much clarity, right? Because you can actually, it's symbolic of any journey.
yeah,
You're able to rise above, and you're able to take a look at life and everything about it, and you're
yeah,
able to make definite those definite identifications of what needs to be shed, and what needs to actually be done to continue to create that life of freedom.
That's beautiful. So you make it sound like you just quit drinking. And maybe you did. I don't know. But I've spoke with so many people, and you listen to Beth Brower's,
Mhm.
podcast of her,
Powerful.
yeah, just her freedom from drugs and alcohol. But what would you suggest to people that also feel like, man, this is just a chain around my neck. I want that freedom, and I don't want to be a functioning alcoholic. That was your words, to me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I, I had to identify what was going on, and for so long, me being a functioning alcoholic, and for anybody listening who is not really familiar what a functioning alcoholic is, or what I define it as, is somebody who is still able to provide for their family, somebody who is still able to show up and not completely um, be at rock bottom, but
Mm-hmm.
um, you're really just existing. And that's not everybody's story. Like, that's not everybody's testimony, because I know there are some people that in using the title of this show, that's not everybody's crucible.
Yeah.
uh, and what I had to identify at that summit, in the summit of the first summit of my journey, was that was something that was keeping me from living. That was going to be something that was
Wow.
going to keep me from really showing up, being the best husband that I could be, because it was causing a lot of tension in communication with me and
Sure.
Nikki,
Sure.
causing a lot of tense situations with me and my children. And we're not able to decipher as well as we should, when we are letting things in, spirits in, that are not of God. So for the longest, Mary Lee, I was trying to discern and trying to really get an understanding of what God wanted my next step to be.
Yeah.
And as I was doing that, it became more and more frustrating. So as as I started to gain more clarity and more freedom, I started to really be able to identify. It's so crazy, Mary Lee.
I
I
know.
start I
I love your
started
story.
I started to be able to identify
Mm.
the relationship problems that me and Nikki had.
Yeah.
And I started to realize the amount of the trust that she didn't have in me to be the head of the household. I
Wow.
started to identify the kids, their our imbalances, and everything kept leading back to alcohol.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't as much as a abrupt stop to drinking, but it didn't, that that went away. I stopped drinking probably 2 months into the initial part of my health freedom,
Sure.
um, and the part of that that felt scary is that I thought that is what allowed me to my personality to show up. And I have
Yeah.
a big personality.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and I saw that out of my dad. I saw the same things
mm,
out of my dad. And um, I knew, I thought that I wouldn't be accepted the same way if
sure. Yeah.
if I wasn't showing up with a big persona.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you definitely have a big persona. I mean, and I don't even know this person you're talking about right now. So you have definitely achieved that. And and just being around you and Nikki and, the few situations we've done and the traveling we've done. And it's just such a credit to you, Vernon, for what you've worked through. Because most people are selfish and they don't want to give up whatever their crutch is, whether it's food or alcohol or drugs or whatever, or I mean, there's many things to be addicted to besides that. But yeah, you guys are just, I think, an amazing couple, and it's just so neat to hear you frame your relationships in that way because that's totally not what I see
Yeah,
or anybody else. And
yeah.
you've got that personality that people just want to be around you. Seriously. I was
Thank
attracted
you.
to you, and it's like I don't even know I didn't even know where you lived or where you were at, and then you showed up at my house for an event, and it was like and you walked in the door with your camera and you were videoing everything, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I probably don't, I was just really insecure at that moment, like, oh, I don't, oh man, I probably look really terrible. I don't know. It's like I ducked out of the video because like, oh, I don't want to be on this. I don't know if he's gonna post it on Facebook or whatever. But it was just great. And from that point on, I felt like, yeah, we're kindred spirits for sure.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
in our
I,
beliefs. So
yeah, our beliefs. I'll say, if God, I had prayed for deliverance long before I got there. I was somebody who would could be in church on Sunday, every
hmm
Sunday, and leave directly from church, go to a bar, start drinking, um, drink a fifth, and go home, pass out, um, wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to remember what all happened, and I do it every Sunday. And
yeah, sure.
nothing about alcohol ever deterred me from making it to church, and nothing about church ever deterred me from being a functioning alcoholic. Um, I would drink on my days off. I um, would go to work, uh, never miss a day, never had any disciplinary action,
hmm
um, but still was not being the head of the household, the husband, the father, the brother, the friend that I had the potential to be. So I put it all out there, Mary Lee, because I know the testimony is bigger than me. I know
Yeah.
that the amount of embarrassment and shame that comes with it
Mhm.
is fine. If I know that it can help one person, I'll gladly tell it and tell it a million times. And when when he prepared me for the next thing, it was like doors started to open. As I
Mm,
started to submit, doors started to open, things,
sure. Yeah.
and I was already prepared for it um, before I even got there. And that word that I had been wanting to discern for so long, he started revealing it to me because I started
Mm,
getting closer and closer and closer. And 2020, the the most the most beautiful system of self-development, community, health, um, really puts the things that I have been working towards into alignment, and tag on that through this system, through this program that we refer to as Optavia,
yeah.
aligns things to where me and my wife can join one another on a health journey. And
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and then I get to meet the Kev and the Mary Lee.
Woohoo, yeah. I
Yeah,
know. And we get to be best friends. I know. That's awesome. So you're on the mountaintop, you're 60 pounds down. So we need
Hmm.
to continue on your story and tell the rest of your action plan. And you did refer to Optavia, but I know Vincent's involved in this too, your brother.
Yeah,
And then Nikki, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so why don't you share that pivot?
So 2020 around, right after COVID is really ramping up in April. We start to see my brother and sister-in-law, Vincent Davis and Heather,
Mm-hmm.
um, they were starting up with the program. And it was only because of COVID, ironically, that him being a insurance in the insurance business and typically being gone, he happened to be at home because things were shutting down at the time. And his next door neighbor, the couple across the street, which are our mentors, Drew and Jana
Yeah.
Epperson.
And our mentors.
Yes. And they probably were trying to tell Vincent about the program months or maybe a year beforehand. And they were able to track him down because of COVID. So that was so ironic. But I had just seen him a few months prior to him starting the program, and he could barely get off the couch.
Wow.
Um,
And he
yeah,
would,
and
how much overweight was he? Because
he's
he looks like a GQ model like you.
uh, yeah, he's rocked it. He's lost 90 plus pounds and kept it
Wow.
off. His 2-year anniversary date will be in May
Awesome.
of starting the program. Of course, he's coaching a lot of people. He is mentoring and being a business leader for a a good amount of coaches, and he's been tremendous. So when he
Yeah.
introduced it to us, I was initially not on board with doing the program,
Mm-hmm.
and Nikki started to take notice of his transformation. And by August of 2020, she said I wanted to join him on this journey and let him coach, let him coach her. And I said, good deal. You got my blessings on it.
Exactly
Have
what Kevin
fun.
told me. Like, see you later. I'm sticking with my ribeyes on my scotch. That's exactly what
Yeah.
he told me. I'll support you, but yeah, you go, girl.
3 days later, Murray Lee, I was like, I've been waiting and praying for us to align on a health
Mm-hmm.
journey. So I need to take advantage of this. And
Yeah.
maybe I might lose some weight. I don't know. Maybe it might,
Yeah.
but the worst that can happen is that we align and I can maybe support her journey.
Sure.
Murray Lee, I had no idea.
Yeah. No, me neither. Yeah.
I,
Go ahead.
I had no idea. Like, even when I heard about the community and the transformation guidance in Dr. Wayne Anderson's books, I was like,
Yeah.
whatever, send the fuelings, I'll
Yeah.
do
Mm-hmm.
the dance, whatever.
Yeah. Yada yada. All right.
Yeah. When I tell you, I can't say enough about what this program has introduced us to, in the form of mindset, in the form of connection with the community, in the form of inspirational people. Um, it has literally no at no points of it does it eliminate anybody.
Yeah.
At all aspects and angles of it, it is inclusive for any human being.
Yeah.
And it gave me and my wife the best self-development that we've ever came across in our 22 years of marriage.
That's awesome. Us too. I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, the self-development part has been eye-opening and gives you that sense of victory, that
Mm, mm, mm,
every
mm.
everybody needs, not just trying to lose weight, but just um feeling like, yeah, okay, I can do this. And you're right, being around these people, I always share with my clients that it's like these are the most positive people on the planet, and they
Yeah.
truly mean what they say, and they are walking the talk of wanting to be the best version of themselves, cheering you on, and not being jealous or envious or whatever of you, or resentful if you have success. They're all there for you, and it's unlike any other thing I've ever experienced, even more so positive than probably our church, which has always been like the most
Hmm.
positive
Hmm.
fellowship group that we could be in. So and you'd shared with me, so I know this goes in with this mindset, and you're now you've broken all these chains, and I know my listeners can't see you, but I'm going to post a before and after of you, because you are shredded. Vernon.
Hmm.
And we have the same birthday, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I know. Okay, we're a decade apart, but we still have that same birthday. And you look amazing. And I honestly, you look like two different people. And I think you probably agree that you are, not that person in your before picture. But let's talk about, you'd shared with me about breaking generational curses. And I thought that was just really an interesting phrase.
Yeah.
And this, leads into my third point of how do you maintain that weight loss?
So the what I was able to identify through getting healthy would have never, none of it would have ever made sense. Like every process begins with one step, and I know people hear that and it's cliche-ish, but I never would have been able to identify any kind of generational curses or patterns or cycles
Yeah.
without taking the first step into getting healthy. Like it would have never happened, Mary Lee.
Yeah.
And so once I was able to step into um, my health and being able to get that cushion of separation to identify that, I was able to look at it and see it for what it was. And I was able to identify and go, this is a cycle that has played out.
Mm,
And this is a cycle that I've seen over and over in my family. And
sure.
I don't want it to continue. So if I don't want it to continue, I need to be as transparent about it as possible, because that transparency, which is something that I first seen in your husband,
Mm.
Kevin,
Oh,
um,
thank you.
yeah, and I saw how beautiful it was when Kevin started sharing and being very, very transparent. And it was another thing that was scary at first, but I
Sure.
started sharing that testimony. And the first time I released it, it felt like I pushed a demon off of me.
Ah, that's such a great idea and feeling.
And,
Visual.
and yes, and when I did that, he could no longer oppress me. He could no longer hold me down. It was out there for the world to see, whoever seen it. And I was going to tell it as many times on as many platforms in as many ways as I could. So through through this community, and I know people are going to hear a million times, what you just said. It's the most positive community in the world. And people, I think the misconception about being a positive community is everybody's happy all the time and
Right.
everybody, it's all rainbows
Oh,
and
sunshine,
false
lollipops everywhere. Yeah.
encouragement. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
These
what a
people are
positive,
real.
that's what a positive environment is.
Exactly.
Exactly. The courage to show up and be real, and no
Mhm.
matter if it's a good day or a bad day, no matter what it is, you are striving to be consistently holding promises that you made to yourself, and
Yeah.
that ability allows you to show up for other people, and that those habits, those routines allow you to be the very best that you can be, and all along the way instilling the grace to know that nothing about you is perfect or expected to be perfect. Everything about you is created for you to show up and be the very best that you can be in that time, in that moment. And if you continue with that day by day, no matter if there's an off day, no matter if there's a bad day, no matter what comes up, if you
Yeah.
continue on that track of consistency, you are, it's a predictable determination that you are going to end up to be a far better person than you would if you just allow life to happen to you.
Yeah. Well, and I love your post that you probably 2 days ago. I can't remember because I'm kind of still in the COVID coma. But you had posted about your intentionality, and I think this leads into that maintaining that healthy lifestyle that you intentionally seek out. And I don't know if you can remember the post, but I thought, wow, that was powerful. And I did a live that day on being intentional and not self sabotaging yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, why don't you share?
Well, I commend you for showing up in the midst of or on the tail end of your COVID
Yeah.
coma, because that's just you, Mary Lee. And
Thank
when I
you.
when I when I came into Optavia, I gravitated towards the ATN's energy
Yes.
because um, I want to connect with people who are um, who have a zest for life, who have
Mm,
a passion for life. And at the time, I didn't know your why. I didn't know the story behind you. I didn't know the story behind Kevin, but I seen a light about you guys, and I just gravitated to it. And
thank you.
you welcome, both of you welcome me and Nikki with open arms. And so my my mindset has shifted inside of this community to being intentional and creating the intentional happy life that you want to create. And I saw, and something that I say to clients very often is, it starts out with intentional health, and that intentionality will flow everywhere, because once you realize the power of you and what you can do, um, when you purposely seek out the life that you want, you keep it going and you keep showing up for it. And I know that it wasn't enough just for me to be free and be safe. So I wanted to exploit that freedom for everything that it was worth, and I wanted to use the testimony and the deliverance that God
Yeah.
gave me to hopefully inspire others to know that it was possible for them. And that's all I needed. All I needed,
That's awesome.
it was the possibility of freedom. And even when I didn't believe, even when I was fearful, I looked at others and their journeys, and I was able to connect to that, and I used it. I used it as my catalyst, and thankful to this community, thankful to our mentors, thankful to clients. I'm thankful for clients that come on board. I'm thankful for clients who stop and come back and reboot. I'm thankful for this community and everything that they pour into it. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to love on people and be a part of what, we refer to it as a program, but it's a movement. And it's a movement that should be carried throughout. And we're just getting started.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Amen for that. I agree with you 100%, Vernon. And yeah, you're very well spoken, and I appreciate that. And I just always appreciate all of your Vernonisms that you share with us. So anyway, I want to say congratulations to you on your accomplishments and your vulnerability as well as your transparency. I mean, that's one of the hardest things to do, especially on social media. And you lay it all out there, and I just respect and admire you. I just want to stand up and applaud. So, but I want to thank you as well for sharing your story today and being vulnerable and keep showing up, because you're changing the world, Vernon. You really are, and I'm so glad to just be connected to you as a friend and, a sister in Christ, and just, we're on the same mission for sure. So
thank you. Thank you for letting me be a part and be on this platform. I think Crucible is very much needed in this day and time. And I think you are impacting so many lives, and you and Kevin have left a major impression on me and Nikki. And every time we get to connect with you guys, it's a spiritual connection. So we're thankful.
Well, we are too.
All right.
Well, all right. So remember, listeners, if you like the Crucible podcast, please like and share. You can find me at 8 in Hand Health Coaching. And I love you, V-Dubs.
We love you back. We love you back. Thank you.
Yeah.